Night Terrors, an event that I am behind on because I took a break for over a month. But now we're back. We're going to start breaking down a couple of the nightmares, that being the 2-issue tie-ins that follow separate characters. With the ones I usually make videos about, that being Nightwing, Power Girl, Catwoman, Harley Quinn, The Flash, Tim Drake, and Poison Ivy, the latter of which is today's video. The reason why I'm not reviewing all of them and breaking them all down is because there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them, and I don't think even if I wanted to, I could break every single one down before the year ends. Poison Ivy's nightmares tie into the Poison Ivy's ongoing series, which we've been reviewing as it's been coming out. However, you don't really need to read it to understand what's going on here, minus the inclusion of Janet's character. Janet is a HR woman who Poison Ivy is friends with, and also got high and had sex with. We start off in a confusing manner. That's because at the end of issue 13 of Poison Ivy, which was the last issue to come out, prior to this issue, Ivy was helping Croc. However, that seems to have already worked itself out by the time this story happens, with her now living in Slaughter Swamp. There was also another plot involving Ivy coming across a dead body, which I believed was maybe her going into the dream. However, that's clearly not the case because we see her going into the dream in this story. The first of the 2 issues of the Poison Ivy Nightmare has in my personal opinion, a very great unnerving cover. It fits very well with the whole nightmarish themes they're trying to go with in these stories. However, I will admit, it is slightly misleading after actually reading the story. We started off in Slaughter Swamp, with Ivy narrating about dreams and how they are hard to achieve, while making references to Harley. We get narration implying that Harley has either left Ivy or they're in some sort of break, as Ivy's now living alone in this cabin, as it also seems as if she's referencing heartbreak. She sees a frog on the deck and she just ignores it going back inside, saying she feels kind of weird, like something is off before she goes to bed. Ivy dreams of herself in some pastel city that is very much an all-American neighborhood, which is very unnerving to her because she fell asleep in the very gloomy Gotham. And she's then introduced to Nightmare Harley Quinn, who made her a pie with them both on it, which is also very unsettling, but she is happy to see Ivy. Also, this Harley, oh my god, I feel so uncomfortable. Ivy brings her into their home as Ivy is just confused as what is going on, as well as her making comment on how she's had nightmares about these type of houses before, as it's so bright and cotton candy looking. Well, she actually calls it cotton candy, so that makes me think that it's actually made of cotton candy, but I'm pretty sure she means the aesthetic of cotton candy. Harley serves her some pie, and Ivy sees it's really gross, even having eyes. But she does try to play along like maybe this is just some hallucination and everything is just fine. Then their neighbor shows up, who is Batman, just with his cowl on in an image that is so funny, which freaks Ivy the hell out as Batman asks if they want pound cake. I mean, I want pound cake. And then Selina shows up, who also in this nightmare is with Batman. Ivy's starting to guess that this isn't just a hallucination, but that she might be in some sort of matrix, talking about how these aren't how things are meant to be. Then Harley breaks her character asking, aren't they better? With no fighting, no death, no loss. It's just a happy home. And we see Harley's actually able to convince Ivy into staying despite knowing that this very much isn't reality. We then cut to Janet, who's also in this nightmare, and is very confused as she's just running around this city, where she sees Penguin who's just walking his dog, leading to Janet being even more puzzled. Then we see Penguin is having a very thick Nightwing wash his car, as Riddler and Batgirl ride a bike by her. Janet runs through the city, right past Insomnia, who's in the window, the villain of Night Terrors, who has, by the way, a very misleading name, who puts people to sleep. Insomnia means you can't sleep. I mean, it's a cool name, but it's very misleading. Maybe it means like you can't sleep after these nightmares because they're so bad. But I don't think that's what they actually mean. I'm pretty sure they just chose the name Insomnia because Insomnia sounds really cool for a villain name. Janet finds Pam, who's having a hangout double date with Harley, Selina, and Batman, which I really want in canon now. Janet asks why Ivy that they're even here. Pamela seems to have accepted her life here. she's practically just okay with living a fake life with this fake Harley. Janet tells her that this Harley isn't real, she is fake, she is not a part of reality. But Ivy doesn't want any part of reality anymore. She thinks that this is a better life. Nothing involving death or having to go on some mission to kill a bunch of people. It's kind of read tongue-in-cheek, as in, does Ivy actually believe this to be real, or does she believe that she just wants this to be real? It's a little unclear, however, it does kind of come across that she knows it's fake, but is just choosing to live in a fake world. Which in itself is interesting, however, I think they should have made it a little bit more clear. Ivy goes inside of Harley, leaving Janet with creepy Selena and Batman, who express their concerns of Janet being here, as they threaten her that if she isn't happy, then people might get hurt. And considering the only real people that are here are Janet and Pam, you could bet who they're threatening here. Also, these panels are terrifying, oh my god. Ivy and side of Harley are getting dressed up, and they share a kiss as Ivy hears Janet scream, which leads her to question what it was. But Harley tries to push this aside, instead just goes into having sex. Which Ivy does just roll with, finally feeling that she doesn't need to deal with the hell that is Gotham. But outside, Janet is running away as she's being chased by twisted versions of Gotham villains and heroes. And the first issue ends with a cliffhanger on if Janet survives. This feels to me so far as being more of a fantasy than a nightmare. It's scary, but mainly for Janet and not Ivy. The artwork certainly feels more nightmarish, but the story itself doesn't really fit with the concept of what they're trying to go for here. As the whole point of these two-issue tie-ins are that they are nightmares of what characters they're displaying. In this case, Poison Ivy. But it's not really a nightmare for her. Maybe Insomnia just gave her a break. Maybe it's trying to imply that she is afraid to be happy, which is in itself interesting. However, I'm not entirely sure if that is the place they're trying to go for here. It's not made very clear. It itself, in my personal opinion, is a very good story. A good Poison Ivy dream sequence, but it's not a good Poison Ivy nightmare story. Now on to issue 2, which even has a more unsettling cover. Oh my god. It works, but I can't look at it for too long without feeling gross. Issue 1 opens with a yikes. Yikes. Get that away. And this is a very good example of the fact that this art is, in my personal opinion, doing most of the work of the nightmare concept. Because other than the art, the story itself doesn't really have anything to do with nightmares. The art does a very good job at making you feel very unsettling, because oh my god. Ivy seems to be accepting her fate even more, which is reflected by the terrifying art. As we're told, no one is ever unhappy here. It is its only role. And in this reality, everyone's forced to be happy. As we see her on a dinner date with Harley. We also see that Harley has a shadow that resembles a bug, while Ivy's is normal. But Ivy seems like she's enjoying everything. Even Harley's really odd line about going to touch some plants. I know what it's trying to imply, but I feel as if they should have just said it, because that makes it sound a lot worse. I don't know why, it just does. After opening the front door, Harley sees a dandelion, which she says is ruining the garden, and she gets Weed Killer, which upsets Ivy because she sees it as an innocent weed, leading to the one rule: you have to be happy being broken. And it's enough for Ivy to break out of this mindset that world is any shape or form real. This upsets fake Harley, saying that she doesn't understand why Ivy wants to go back to the real world, because this world is much better. And then we get Ivy's explanation as to why this is a nightmare. That being that she feels as if she's not enough for Harley. That she won't want to settle down and live a white picket fence type of life. However, I still feel like the concept of fear is lost here. I don't really think that fits with her true fears, especially what's been going on in the current Poison Ivy series. Even though, yes, they are playing off one another, they aren't, in my personal opinion, really gelling well. Because Ivy's personal fears in that series clearly comes down to the fact that she feels as if she doesn't want to become a villain. That being hurting innocent people. She's fine with murdering non-innocent people, she's okay with that. And this whole Harley settling down type of stuff doesn't, in my opinion, really make any sense. It kind of comes out of nowhere. However, yet again, that is just my personal opinion. Ivy goes out to look for Janet, and she suspects that she might have been the real Janet, as A, she broke the rule of not being happy, and B, no one but Janet is that annoying. Harley attacks Ivy, as does Batman and Selina, who have a weed killer, and they shoot on her, spraying it everywhere, which knocks her out. Which, I do have some questions as how does that work in a dream, because she technically is already knocked out, so how are you knocked out within a dream? This isn't the first time, nor even the first Night Terrors tie-in to do that, but I am genuinely wondering how that works if you're knocked out within an actual dream because you're already knocked out. Janet is in a basement where Penguin seems to be keeping her in until she dies, and he looks very unsettling, but she manages to discover that the basement is just a dirt pit, with the walls being just dirt. She starts digging her way through it, but Penguin and Batgirl try to go after her, and they are covered in bugs. Well, Janet crawls through the hole into the wall, but she escapes to the outside as Batgirl and Penguin fail to catch her. Janet runs through the city to see Pamela on the floor of her home. She helps her up, and the two discuss the creature house in the city. Pamela's depressing that nothing matters, and being here that just shows that she'll never be done. And that maybe she should just stay. But Janet gives her a pep talk about all that she's accomplished, that being taking down the Psycho CEO, Beatrice. Or does she mean Gwen? I can't tell. She says some Psycho CEO, but I can't tell if she means Gwen or Beatrice because she took both of them down. As well as cure the woman from the poison. It's enough to encourage Ivy to get back up and fight. But before they can leave, they're stopped by Penguin, Catwoman, Batgirl, Batman, and Harley. Where did Riddler and Nightwing go? Anyways, Ivy tells Janet that she has to fight her own demons, and while her powers don't work, she thinks if Harley isn't Harley, then this isn't Batman, so who's actually under the mask? And she rips it off of them, only to see her own face underneath the cowl, and it breaks her dream, resulting in the entire thing falling apart, and they wake up. As apparently, since Ivy doesn't know who Batman is, this created a problem when Ivy unmasked him, because her mind doesn't know where to fill in that missing gap of information, because there's nothing to fill unless she knows who Batman is. And that's it. They both only get a page showing off once they wake up, promising that things will continue in Poison Ivy's comic, although I'm pretty sure this takes place after issue 14, because issue 13 left on a different note. Unless we're just going to skip it, which I could see them doing, but I hope they don't, because I really want to know what happened with the dead body and the Killer Croc stuff, because I really like that plot. My review for this story is that it is very strong for a one-off dream about Poison Ivy, showing the inside of her mind. However, for the context of this event, it doesn't necessarily work, as it didn't really play on Ivy's fears at all, except for that one line that, in my personal opinion, doesn't really make any sense about Ivy not wanting to settle down. I could see that being maybe in our top 10 fears, but her number one fear? This story, in my opinion, is still very good on its own. Just as a part of this event, it just feels a little misplaced. This one also only has a single panel of Insomnia, while others had multiple panels of Insomnia or included the character within the actual story. Therefore, this makes this story feel a little unconnected to the rest of them. As well are different nightmares for other characters, and sometimes they include other characters. This one only included Janet. Okay, yes, there were nightmare versions of Batman, Batgirl, etc., but they weren't real. This itself just affects Janet and Pamela, while other stories include other characters who are also affected. For example, Nightwing's affects Nightwing, Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, and Scarecrow. Therefore, it just doesn't feel as big on the scale as the others. And especially because Insomnia doesn't really have a part to play in it. It's not bad at all. I did enjoy it, but it's very small and doesn't really connect to the other stories. And also because it takes place after issue 14 of Poison Ivy, which I presume it would, it doesn't really feel even connected to that series either. Unless maybe you read it after issue 14 comes out, therefore perhaps it could feel betterly placed. But that's just my opinion. Did you think that this story was amazing? Did you think that idea of Ivy's biggest fear being that she doesn't want to settle down is the best option for the character's fear in this nightmare. Or do you agree with me that it should have been something else? And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!